All right. Hey, anybody who tunes in tonight. I actually got some work to do tonight, which is pretty cool. I'll be diagnosing these two DS Lites. Our only goal is to get these working or refurbished properly so that they're in good, restored, sellable condition. Um, I ended up getting these off of a reseller, a local reseller that is really interested in my ability to fix these things. And instead of just selling them for parts, he would rather just get them restored and try and make a little bit more money off of them. He's not trying to overdo it necessarily. He just, you know, if you got a good working product, you're going to get a few more bucks for it. So tonight we're just going to take these apart and see what they look like for the most part. Let me grab a game real quick. I actually think we might need a few games. And a charger. All right. So let's see if this thing even charges. And we'll start there. Well, there's no charge light on it. But it does start up. Doesn't matter. Let's just do, I like orange. Let's see what we got here. That's fine. Don't care about the time right now. So this thing's got some good scratches here on the bottom. It's got some decent scratches on the top too, actually. But luckily these parts aren't very expensive. Usually, usually you can pick up both for less than 10 bucks, depending on if you're gonna do a shell swap or not. Because the shell swap usually comes with the top lens. These are also missing dust covers, and I mean it's got one non-matching stylus between the two. So battery's full. I'm definitely not getting much of a charge though. All right. I loaded my DS Pico into this. It boots right into Pico Launcher, so that's good. It's reading. load Plants vs. Zombies for the hell of it. Let's see. It's just testing the speakers. So both speakers are working pretty well. I'm just wanting to test buttons and everything. Hold a seat pack with the stylus. Okay. This is very touchscreen oriented. This might not have been the game to try. Let's try Yoshi's Island. Make sure the Game Boy Advance port's working. Okay. Seems pretty good. No problem with the buttons, so I'm happy about that. Let's make sure it loads Game Boy games. The most recent one that I had to diagnose, it was a Game Boy Advance. It would play Game Boy games, but it would not play Game Boy Advance games. So that just taught me. Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. DS Lites don't play Game Boy games. I don't know why I forgot that. The cartridge won't even fit. So if you want to play Game Boy games, make sure you get a Game Boy Advance, not a DS Lite. Unless you want to emulate it. Let me grab an actual DS Lite game real quick. This is from my personal collection. I picked up this Zelda Phantom Hourglass without a case recently and then ended up finding the official case for it online. Okay. Forgot a lot of these are just touchscreen. Okay. Well, I'm happy with that. So everything about this unit right here is pretty much just going to be cosmetic. Except for the charging. I gotta figure out why the charging's not working. First of all, yeah, that does look kind of wonky. I think what we'll do is I'll end up replacing that port tonight because I should have plenty of extras for that. And then we'll see if it's actually just the port. And if it is, we'll probably end up replacing it with a Type-C once I get those in. Okay. Two Phillips heads there. Two more Phillips heads under the pads. And the rest should be tri-wings. I think it's only 3 of them. It's not a whole lot of screws keeping this back shell on. It's also a fairly compact unit. And the one up top here. So I've taken quite a few of these apart on my stream already. This is one of the most popular Game Boys I've been able to get my hands on. Or DS Lites. It's not technically a Game Boy. But at my age, everything's a Game Boy, right? Or a Nintendo. Okay. There we go. That looks good. Power button came out with it, but that's fine. Shoulder buttons are out. Okay, so man, this power socket took quite a bit of a beating. It's got a little bit of corrosion on it, actually. So let's go ahead and pull the whole board out. I don't want to. I want to make sure that if there's any bit of corrosion up there, that it's not getting to the main board. I'm going to take the Wi-Fi card off completely. And then we'll route the Wi-Fi cable underneath the cartridge slot. Or try to. This thing's always kind of a pain in the ass to do. There we go. We'll undo the microphone. And we'll switch back to our 00 Phillips head. And it's missing a screw. So somebody's been in this thing before. That's interesting. It's funny, I don't think it was my reseller here. He very well admits that he doesn't get into all this. He'll clean these things up, you know, with some rubbing alcohol, but he's not into taking these things apart. So whoever sold it to him had already been into this thing. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, we'll just undo the touchscreen ribbon cable here. That ribbon cable sucks. Ugh, there is all kinds of little bits of corrosion over that, so that is interesting. Looks like somebody probably soldered on a new headphone jack. Yeah, let's go ahead and get that let's go ahead and clean it up first, and we'll just see if we can get a charging light out of it. Instead of worrying about taking stuff apart. Always clean first. Okay, make sure that that tab's down before we start just going at this. All right, first of all, let's get the charging port. It looks like there's actually a little bit of rust on this cartridge slot too. Nobody went in and really cleaned this because every time I go in and clean it, it always rubs off the writing on the cartridge slot. So somebody actually cleaned it. And that's typically what's come off. Definitely get the power switch. And let's definitely get all the bottom side of the board. Especially where the screen was. I really don't like that there was all that white stuff all over the ribbon cable for the screen. All right, let me use my blower here to help get this alcohol off here a little quicker. Sorry, I know that's a little loud. Okay. Well, for now, let's get that Wi-Fi card plugged back in. Let's get the top screen plugged back in. Sorry, bottom screen. In fact, before I do that, let's clean. Gonna do that real gently, of course. But I want to clean that ribbon cable. Make sure there's no actual signs of corrosion on there. The screen kind of looked like it had little bits of ghosting on it, like from liquid damage. Or not necessarily liquid damage, but it's almost like alcohol got under the screen. Oh, come on. Hmm. I didn't like the way that that clasp felt there. I don't think we need the touch sensor hooked up, the digitizer right now, but we definitely need the top screen hooked up if we want to test everything. This top screen's always fun to put back together. Okay. Let me just press a battery up against it, and first of all, let's see if it can charge. Nope, no charging light. All right. So I'm gonna put that battery back on. I just want to see what the screens look like. Yeah, very weird. I can't tell if those are like micro scratches or what. It's like it was sitting in a pool of alcohol or something. All right, let's see if we can go ahead and just put a temporary. I don't have any Type C ones on me right now, but I have plenty of the old charging ports for this thing. Get that screen off. What else do we need to do here? Should be it. Okay. Got my soldering iron ready. And we'll add some 60/40 to all of these. Okay. So adding 60/40 just kind of loosens up the solder, you could say. And the solder is just real nice and easy to suck up at this point. Okay. Tell you what, let me grab my my little PCB stand here. Get this thing up in the air a little bit so that we can use some tweezers to pull down on the port. Okay. So, grab my tweezers. All right. Tell you what we're gonna do is, I've been just starting to get used to this reflow station that I got. I think that's gonna be a little too high. I don't want to yank on this thing, by the way. All I'm doing is kind of giving it a nice little pull. Sorry, not a pull. Just applying a little bit of pressure on it. And it pretty much just wants to fall out eventually. There we go. Man, that's so much easier. Having the right tools, everybody. It definitely helps. All right. Now we'll clean up that port a little bit. I'm even think I need to clean it up that much, but I'm just doing it anyways. Yeah, that barely picked up any solder, but that's fine. Okay. Getting the board a little clean. And let me grab, we need to find our spare parts bin here. All right, we got some DS Lite screens. We'll actually pull those aside just in case we need those for troubleshooting tonight. Cartridge drive, DS Lite spare parts. That's my biggest bag. All right. So let's see what we got here. We actually have a shell that we could use that's in a little bit better condition than some of those. This one's actually pink though. And got some styluses if we needed them. And there's our charging ports that I can confirm worked. So let's grab one of these. And that's looking pretty good. Might need to clean some of the solder off this. Where'd I just put my solder wick? Oh, here it is. I figure out how to do this without burning the shit out of myself, too. Oof. Doesn't even look like there's much solder on any of this either. Let me see if that was enough. That might have been enough. Nope, it's that same jack that doesn't want to go in. Possibility I might be able to heat it up in there. Yeah. good. That's all it took. Okay. Get all this soldered into place. Okay. Let's get the bare minimum put back together and see if it actually charges. We'll figure out if that was actually the charging port or if there's another problem. All right, so bare minimum, we got to get the top and bottom screen in. We may not even need that, to be honest with you. Actually, let's just try and plug in a battery. And plug in a charger. I'll grab the right one eventually here. Still nothing. That port does feel a hell of a lot better, though. Okay. Well, let's see what we got here. Turns on and then off, so that's fine. Okay. No big deal. There is a fuse right here. Let's just see if that's popped. We should have done that to begin with, to be honest with you. So all we need to do is test for continuity. Well, that fuse should be fine then. Well, that sucks. What about by the battery terminal itself? That's a diode. What about R29? Sorry, I see my big old bald head in the way. I actually can't remember if R29, well, that's a resistor. And there was R31. Let me check and see what R29 does. Let's see. DS Lite R29. I know that I didn't know there was two fuses on here. There's F1. It says there might be an F2, but I don't know about that. Let me see where F2 is. Where is F2 on a DS Lite? Yeah, okay, there is. It's got continuity though. It's weird. Okay. This one's challenging. What did they do to this? All right, let's take a look under the microscope here. I didn't like what I was seeing. It definitely looks like somebody's been into this before. All right. That just looks so messy. Let's see what we got here if we try and clean that up. Scratch. Wake up. Yeah, it looks like it's on there pretty well. That does look a lot cleaner now, though. Let me try this again. I've seen weird things happen where, like, you know, corrosion buildup, it'll just completely short it out. I've seen, what is it? Flux. I've seen flux kind of short stuff out before. Or at least prevent it from making like a good connection, I guess. Okay, green light goes off. Perfect, because we don't have any screens hooked up to it. That's why that's happening. But we got no orange light. It's seriously like it's not getting power at all. Hold on one second. One weird thing I notice, which shouldn't be happening. Let me see if I can get that on the screen. I'm just testing continuity, and it's lighting up that LED. I don't think it's supposed to be doing that, to be honest with you. Huh. All right, we're gonna have to look this one up and see. So we got F2 is power and battery fuse. F1 is charging port fuse. Where? Turn on. Just doing a little bit of research here, seeing what's going on. Crack solder joints on the EM10 filter. Okay, wants us to check continuity on the EMF filter. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Try and reflow that. Oh, it would help if my soldering iron was on. Okay. Let me try and reflow everything here. to check if this is actually right or not. We get continuity on the top two. Oh. But how come we're not getting it on the board itself? Interesting. Let's try that again. Okay. So that may have just gotten some wear. Let's actually see. We'll plug up a battery to it again. And see if we get charging. Still nothing, huh? Well, let's see if the fuse is still good. Everything's in continuity now. It wasn't before. All right, let's get at least a couple bare minimum things here done. Let's do, I don't think you need the screens plugged in to see if it's charging, but to hell, you know, sometimes you do. Okay. Get that top screen plugged in. Okay. Get it all partially back together there. And get our battery. And our charger. No charging light. Why is it mad at us? That is interesting. It's like we found one problem, fixed it, and it's still not working. I'm one of those people who doesn't really give up very easily on this stuff either, so this one might be getting diagnosed for a little bit here. Alright, so we popped in a new charging port. We checked all the fuses. We checked the EM10 filter, which seemed to possibly be an issue. If you plug the charger in and get a brief orange flash that instantly cuts out, if nothing happens at all despite a working charger, look for a small surface mount component labeled VR1 or L2 near the power input circuit. I'm looking for VR1 or L2. I see L4. Okay, there's L2. That's got continuity. L2 is directly below the power switch. Okay. All right. L2 has continuity. Okay. Okay, let's plug this thing in. We're testing voltage now. All right, that's 5 volts. We got 5 volts at the bottom of the EM10. Five volts for the fuse. Getting 5 volts past the EM10. All right. Oh. Where should it reach it on the battery terminals, though? Getting 0.4 volts at the battery terminal. Console is receiving almost no juice to charge the battery because the voltage drop so low. Your charge part is likely working, but the power is being choked along the line. Touch the red probe. Okay. We're still testing here. Continuity mode. So, okay, we don't have a short from ground to positive. It's really weird. So right now we're just struggling to get 5 volts to the charger here, and I'm wondering if it's possible that the charger's loose. Sorry, not the charger. We're getting 5 volts from the charger. And then we're getting 5 volts past the EM10, which is great. But we're not getting 5 volts to the positive battery terminal. So that's weird. EM10 exists as 0.4 volts in the battery terminal. Back pins and the charger port while plugged in. Do you get a full 5 point? Sorry, I'm doing a lot of Googling here because this is a little bit past what I've had to diagnose before, which is fine. That's how I'm going to keep learning here. Out the back pins. 5 volts. 5 volts right out the back pins. And through. All right. What is the U10 powered chip? We might be looking at a diode here. I don't even see the U10 chip. Am I looking in the right place? Telling you, staring at these things is like, where's Waldo? Okay, flip the board to the backside. Tiny black surface mount component labeled D2. I see D7. I see D5. I see Q2. I see D3. Let me pull this Wi-Fi chip off and see if there's anything underneath there. Come on, where are you? There's D8. Okay, there's U10. Okay. I can't find D2. All right. Well, let's see. I think we're gonna have to pull out the microscope here. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm not seeing shit. D7, D5, D6. C107. Ooh, what the fuck are those? Um, All right. I think Google thought I was looking for a DS instead of a DS Lite. So now it's telling me to locate D1. Look at the bottom right corner of the board, right around A, B, X, and Y buttons. Look directly below the B button. Let's switch that back over. Tiny black 3-pin component labeled. No. That's U11. Google does not know what they're talking about here. Jesus. Oh, man. All right. We need to find U10. First of all, I see something I don't like. What the hell is that? Focus in on that a little bit. Ugh. That could be a problem, whatever the hell that is. I don't know how I just saw that. But what is that? Okay, well, let's clean that real quick. Okay. That still does not look good. That really doesn't look good. That definitely had some crusties on it. Okay, well. Seems to be soldered to the board okay. It's definitely not a loose connector. Okay. Well, let's see if that has continuity at all. If that's even something that's supposed to have continuity, I guess. Yeah, there's definitely a couple things I don't like seeing here. All right. Oops. Five 07 0.4 507 507 507 Hmm. Zero point 0.4. Okay, F2 is also Okay, I need to find U10. Where is... I see U4. I thought I saw U10 earlier. I see U3. There's U10. Okay. U10 is... Oh no. U10 is next to U9. 3 pins on the top and 2 on the bottom. Dude, that's not U10. Since your 5-volt pass-through EM10, the 5-volt line shoots directly over the input pins on the U3 chip. if you have hot air station, can I test you for you? Multi. All right. Where to touch your red probe to the tiny capacitors grouped directly on the right side of the U3 chip. Okay. Okay. Let's get underneath this. Let's unplug it. And switch back to microscope mode. It's saying there's a possible problem with this chip. I'm just going to check for loose pins. Okay. Oh, man. I don't see any major corrosion yet, which is good. All right, that's our last side. Here, let me spin this thing around so it's a little easier for me. Hmm. I think what I might do is see if I can just reflow those chips a little bit. This thing keeps turning off on me. Well, this is a crazy one. What am I doing there? What did I just do? That looks gross. Yeah, I don't like that. What did I do? All right, let's lift this up just a little bit. that should be good. Come on now. I don't think this is going to work. Sorry, I'm not talking too much here. I just really want to try reflowing it just to see if there's any like loose connections here. And the last side. Okay, we'll clean this up. I'm not sure about this. Yeah, let's see what it looks like. Whoa. How do you like that? It is charging. We got a nice bright orange light there. And all we did was reflow that chip. All right. Well, let me get this damn thing back together real quick. I'm kind of shocked. I mean, I can kind of see why it would work because it did look a little rough in that area. But I was thinking it was going to take more than a reflow to get that thing charging. Here's the tough part. Was it worth the amount of time that I put into it? I would say, I would argue yes, it is. They don't make these things anymore. If we don't fix them, they're just gone eventually. So if you want to play off this original hardware and be able to enjoy these things, then you're going to be paying a premium for these things. Now, keep that in mind. If somebody wants 180, 200 bucks for one of these, it's worth it sometimes to save it. I mean, it's not worth it to you if you don't really want it that bad. But the amount of work that I had to put into this thing just to figure out what the issue was, if I don't do it or somebody else doesn't do it, it's just done, thrown away forever. So, like I said, keep that in mind. I mean, I get it. 200 bucks is a lot of money, but pay people the amount that they deserve for these things. All right, first of all, will this thing still turn on? Probably not, because I don't have the Wi-Fi chip in. Look at me getting too excited over here. All right, Wi-Fi chips in. How do you like that? It booted right up, and the damn thing's charging. Man, that feels good, I'll tell you that much. I just saved this thing from the dump. All right. It's 12:20. I am going to end on a high note for the night. I have to come back and finish diagnosing this thing and coming up with a parts list. So, I don't know if I'll have time tomorrow night or Sunday night, but we'll definitely go back at this. I'm going to finish the parts list, see if it's worth the money to invest the parts into it. This might just end up being a project where somebody else might need to invest the money into it because I've already put the time into it. So, we'll figure that out. Me and my guy who buys these things in bulk to try and save them. We'll figure that out. So I'll see you guys on the next one where we'll get the parts list together and hopefully diagnose the second one. Hopefully it's not as bad. I always like having an easy one after after diagnosing a difficult one. So I appreciate anybody who took the time to watch tonight, and I will definitely see you on the next one. Thanks.